Today is the 18th day of the month of Cheshvan. We are in the middle of chapter 13, discussing the laws of the sanctity of a synagogue. Today we'll be finishing chapter 13, going from paragraph 2 through paragraph 5. And we'll begin chapter 14, doing paragraphs 1 through 3. Paragraph 14 discusses the rules of a section of prayer called Pesukei de Zimra, which literally means songs of praise. So chapter 13, paragraph 2. Before walking into the synagogue, a person just look over themselves to make sure their clothes are clean, there's no mud on their boots or their shoes. Paragraph 3. A shul, a synagogue, also a base medrash, a study hall, they're holy places, they're special places. We're supposed to go into them for spiritual reasons, not merely to escape from the heat or when it's hot, from the rain when it's raining. So if we're caught outside in the rain, we could go into the building, but we're not supposed to enter the sanctuary to escape from the rain. Most shuls and synagogues nowadays do have some sort of entrance room, a hallway in the front, so this wouldn't be an issue because you can always go into the hallway. But you're not supposed to go into the sanctuary itself to escape from the rain. If somebody has to go into the sanctuary to get somebody, it's not appropriate to just walk in and out, and therefore you should say a line from the Torah, a quick verse, a Mishnah, a short prayer. Say you're going in for a holy, a spiritual reason as well. It'll just take a second or two, and then it's not a problem getting somebody and going right out. Paragraph 4. One is not supposed to eat or drink in a synagogue. A small drink would be okay. Generally, we don't sleep in a synagogue. Some people used to sleep in the synagogue Yom Kippur night, and for something like that would be okay, but other than that, we don't sleep in a synagogue. In a study hall, however, like dozing off is permitted. And for someone that's studying Torah, they're spending their time in study hall studying Torah, and then they're allowed to eat and drink and even sleep in a study hall because that's part of we consider that part of the Torah learning. They're here learning Torah. They need to eat something. They need to drink something. They need to put their head down, take a nap. That gets tied into their Torah learning, and therefore that's permitted. Now, one other caveat. If someone is building a shul or a building that they want to have a lot of stuff going on in there, so they want this room to be used for many things, and one of the things is also prayers. Then if they had that intention from the get-go, and the plan was to use this room over here as a social hall, to have bar mitzvahs in, to have other celebrations and stuff going on, then it's not a problem eating and drinking there, because when they built that room, then the intention from the beginning was, this is not just a shul, this is a multi-purpose room, one of which is we're going to daven here also. This shul, by eating and drinking, only applies to a building or a room at least that was built to be a shul, a place for prayer. That's what it was meant for exclusively. Then you have all these problems of eating and drinking. Nowadays, most shuls, when they're built, the community, the builders, the people, the community leaders at least have in mind that this is not going to be a place just for prayers. It's going to be a place used for other reasons as well, and that would allow us to have different stuff going on in the room as well. And this leads us to paragraph 5. There are a lot of rules in building a synagogue. How many windows it's supposed to have, the way it's supposed to be set up. So if a community is building a synagogue, they should make sure to consult with a competent rabbi exactly how it should be built. Chapter 14. The next bunch of chapters, we're going to go through the rules of the different parts of the morning services. So chapter 14 discusses a section of the morning services called Pesukei de Zimra, which literally means songs of praise. This begins in the article Siddur on page number 58 and goes through page number 82. Once we begin this section of Pesukei de Zimra, we're not supposed to interrupt at all until we finish complete Shemona Esrei, the Midah, that prayer that we're standing silently speaking to God one-on-one. So no talking, no even good mornings, no hellos to our friends that walk in. We're supposed to be fully focused on our prayer at this point. We could nod to someone that walks in, but we shouldn't be saying anything. Now, what about saying things that aren't part of this prayer itself, but answering things like amen to other people's blessings or to the chazans, to the leaders' blessings, things of that nature? So in the Pesukei de Zimra section, that's okay. We can answer amen to blessings that we hear. If the chazan or someone's saying Kaddish, we could say Yehei Shmei Rabbah, the responses of Kaddish. There's some responses that we do called Kedusha, Baruch Hu. These communal responses that the congregation does in responding to words that the chazan, the leader, says, we could also say those responses even if we're in the middle of Pesukei de Zimra. If it's possible, if you see that the congregation is about to say one of those responses, then if it's possible, it's best to quickly hurry up to finish the paragraph before doing it. If you could do that, great. If you can't, then even in the middle of a paragraph, you could say any of those responses. In the middle of Kaddish, there's one line where the congregation says Brichu, so we don't say that. And also, if somebody's saying a blessing, normally after you hear God's name, you're supposed to say Baruch Hu uvaruch Shemo, may he be blessed and may his name be blessed, but we don't say that line either if we're in the middle of the Pesukei de Zimra section. If somebody has to go to the bathroom in the middle of the Pesukei de Zimra section, so normally when you go to the bathroom, you come out, you're supposed to make a blessing of Asher Yatzar, thanking God for the fact that our bodies work properly. So for middle of the Pesukei de Zimra section, we don't make that blessing. We wait until we finish Shemona Esrei, and then we say the blessing after we finish Shemona Esrei. Paragraph 2. There's a paragraph called Baruch Sha'amar, which starts out the Pesukei de Zimra section. This is on page 58 in the Art School Siddur. So when we say Baruch Sha'amar, we're supposed to be standing, and men are supposed to take the front two tzitzit strings, the front right and front left tzitzit strings, and hold them in the hand as you say Baruch Sha'amar. One is supposed to pay attention to the words that we're saying. If you're praying in Hebrew, then it's worth a while to spend time looking at the English to know what the words mean. Art Scroll has a great version of the Siddur where they have the English and interlinear version where the English is right below the words, so you could pray in Hebrew, and at the same time as looking at the words in Hebrew, you could see exactly what they mean instead of having to look on the other page. And of course, you could pray in English as well. There's a line that we're supposed to have special focus, make sure we understand. In Ashrei is a paragraph which begins on page 66. There's a line there, which is on page 68, towards the bottom, where we say, Poseach es yadecho maspil ochel chayratzon, the God, you open up your hands and you satiate all living things. You may see some people lift up their hands as they say this. And we're supposed to have extra focus on that verse, asking God to give us a livelihood. Paragraph 3. We have to be careful when we're in the middle of prayer that we're not touching any part of our body that is normally covered. We're not scratching our head, because these activities require us to wash our hands before continuing to daven, before continuing to pray. If one does touch one of these areas and they're in the middle of Shemona Esrei, we're not supposed to move. So how do you go wash your hands? You're not allowed to move. Your feet are supposed to be to get next to each other, standing one spot. So in that case, just wipe your hands on the table in front of you, or if you're near a wall, on the wall or something like that, in order to do a basic cleansing. And then when you finish Shemona Esrei, go out and wash your hands before finishing off the prayers. But of course, it's better. We shouldn't be touching those areas at all during services, during prayers. This concludes today's learning. Have a wonderful day and see you tomorrow.